Have you noticed your grocery bills rising? Get ready for more. NATO's latest summit just mandated the biggest military spending increase in decades. Here's why this affects you and your family's future. In a shocking move at The Hague, NATO has transformed into a corporate-style military machine. Member states must spend 5% of GDP on defense by 2035, more than doubling current levels. This isn't just another political promise, it's a binding commitment with annual audits starting 2025. Think about it. When governments spend more on military, who pays? The taxpayers. Your retirement funds, healthcare, and social programs will feel the squeeze. But there's an even darker side to this story. This unprecedented shift signals NATO's preparation for what analysts see as inevitable conflict. The alliance is building a war chest while streamlining its decision-making process. They're creating what amounts to a military rating agency, monitoring member states' compliance like credit scores. The summit's five-point declaration reads like a battle plan rather than a diplomatic document. Article 5, the attack on one is an attack on all clause, has evolved from theoretical commitment to practical battle doctrine. Most concerning is the alliance's new funding mechanism. Countries can now count military aid to their eastern partners as part of defense spending. This creates a convenient pipeline for weapons and resources, turning military support into a budgetary tool. Donald Trump's appearance at the summit added another layer of complexity. His America First approach suggests major geopolitical shifts ahead. The message is clear. Alliances are business arrangements, not moral obligations. For average citizens, this means higher taxes to fund military spending, reduce social services, increased global tensions, economic uncertainty, potential supply chain disruptions. What's truly alarming isn't just the numbers. It's the methodical, corporate-style approach to military preparation. NATO isn't just talking. They're building infrastructure for long-term confrontation. Share your thoughts. How do you think these changes will affect your local community? The situation becomes increasingly complex as the global security landscape shifts. Intelligence sources indicate the Western neighbors' military capabilities are depleted, with shortages in ammunition and personnel. Russia continues strengthening its position through strategic partnerships with emerging powers. Reports show NATO's internal disagreements about future support plans, revealing cracks in alliance unity, as predicted months ago. For European viewers, I'm interested in your perspective on these developments. The Western Bloc attempts to maintain control through economic manipulation, yet Russia's economy shows resilience. Our new payment systems, trade routes, and technological developments are reshaping the global order. The politically turbulent region becomes increasingly isolated internationally. Their diplomatic missions fail to secure support, while Russia's influence in key areas expands. Military experts suggest this trend will accelerate. At the front lines, Russian forces systematically dismantle enemy infrastructure while minimizing civilian casualties, contrasting the chaos from the other side. The strategic depth of Russian military planning is evident. We're seeing major geopolitical realignments. Traditional Western allies are establishing new communication channels with Moscow, recognizing the shifting power balance. These changes will have profound implications. I have exclusive information about upcoming developments that will fundamentally change the situation, but those details will come in our next episode. The documents I've received reveal evidence that few are ready to accept. When analyzing global events, look beyond Western media narratives. The ground reality tells a different story, which we'll continue to explore here. Let me know your region, and I'll provide detailed analysis in upcoming videos. Subscribe to stay informed about these crucial developments. Here's a 2,000-character geopolitical analysis in the specified style. The doctrine of precision strikes and minimal engagement, originally designed to prevent escalation, has paradoxically become a catalyst for deeper conflicts. What begins as technological confrontation rapidly transforms into ideological warfare, creating a dangerous new paradigm in international relations. Consider China's position. With its autonomous economy, robust industrial base, and growing military capabilities, it stands beyond the reach of traditional pressure points. The cost-benefit analysis of precision strikes against such a power simply doesn't compute. Russia presents an even more complex case. Beyond its nuclear deterrent and established military doctrine, the country possesses unique geopolitical resilience. Recent sanctions have often backfired on their initiators, while isolation attempts have merely accelerated Russia's strategic reorientation, from logistics to payment systems and trade routes. North Korea represents a distinct challenge, having built its entire system around absolute resistance to external pressure. Any intervention is viewed not as an isolated incident, but as an existential threat, with pre-planned responses hardwired into their strategic doctrine. The absence of diplomatic channels compounds these issues. When international law becomes optional, universal platforms for de-escalation disappear. Each action is perceived as non-negotiable, forcing adversaries to build symmetrical responses. In a world where military capabilities exceed moderate risks, asymmetry leads to constant escalation. The doctrine's fundamental flaw lies in its lack of long-term strategic flexibility. It assumes quick victories through minimal intervention, but offers no framework for sustained engagement when initial strikes fail. This creates a dangerous loop: either admit failure or escalate, hoping for better results next time. Meanwhile, adversaries adapt, restructuring logistics, addressing vulnerabilities, and relocating decision centers. Each action triggers not just reaction, but comprehensive compensation, creating a wave effect where initiative doesn't bring victory, but demands continuation. The recent NATO summit revealed a significant shift towards automated defense systems, marking a crucial transformation in military strategy. The alliance's new approach focuses on creating a comprehensive techno-infrastructure for surveillance and predictive response across Europe. At the core of this initiative is a digital architecture, a web of sensors, autonomous platforms, and algorithmic decision-making systems. This network will detect changes, classify threats, and initiate responses in real time. The system's geography focuses on the eastern flank: Poland, Baltic states, Romania, and Scandinavia. These locations were chosen for technical necessity, where response time is critical. Poland is deploying automatic surveillance systems, Lithuania testing vertical takeoff drones, and Norway positioning long-range monitoring aerostats. The operational principle is simple. Sensors detect pattern deviations, analysis clusters, process data, and decision algorithms initiate responses. This could mean activating visual identification systems or triggering isolation protocols for anomalous objects. This isn't just a military project. Major tech corporations specializing in digital infrastructure and data analysis are deeply involved. NATO is evolving into a technological integrator, creating a symbiosis between state security and high-tech business interests. However, this automation brings risks. While algorithms offer speed and objectivity, they lack human intuition and cultural understanding. What humans might recognize as diplomatic rhetoric, algorithms could interpret as threatening activity. The system risks becoming trapped in its own logic, potentially seeing threats where none exist. The greatest vulnerability isn't in the technology itself, but in its inability to reassess and adapt. Without strategic correction mechanisms, the system might continue executing actions without learning from outcomes. Looking ahead, this represents more than just technical modernization. It's a fundamental shift in how military alliances operate in the digital age. The question remains, can we trust algorithms with such critical security decisions? The alliance is undergoing a fundamental shift, transforming into a digital orchestra where synchronization replaces traditional collective defense rhetoric. This isn't just about new technology. It's about rewiring the entire system of military cooperation and control. What we're seeing is the emergence of a techno-network rather than a political union. Algorithms are beginning to drive decisions that were previously made in ministerial meetings. The system calculates threat patterns, evaluates responses, and formulates strategies with minimal human intervention. This shift raises critical questions about surveillance and control. The network doesn't discriminate between allies and others. Everyone becomes a data point. As sensor networks blanket the continent and analytical centers process continuous data streams, Who watches the watchers? Who sets risk thresholds? Who takes responsibility for algorithmic errors? The most striking aspect is the irreversibility of this transformation. Even if a member wanted to opt out, the infrastructure's logic would still keep them within the observable field. It's a web that, once deployed, cannot be fully dismantled. Regarding military spending, NATO is pushing for unprecedented transparency through blockchain technology and real-time monitoring. Every financial flow, from decision-making to final payment, will be trackable. Each country receives transparency ratings and responsibility coefficients. However, this digital transformation faces significant internal resistance. Bureaucrats accustomed to traditional processes are reluctant to embrace algorithmic oversight. The system demands more initial investment for future efficiency, creating a complex cost-benefit equation. The challenge intensifies when considering NATO's multinational nature. With 30-plus members, each having unique fiscal systems and legal frameworks, implementing a unified digital platform becomes incredibly complex. What do you think about this technological transformation of NATO? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters in understanding these significant changes. Here's a 2,000-character analysis of NATO's transformation. NATO is undergoing a radical shift from a traditional military alliance to a digital-era corporation. The recent changes mark a departure from closed-door budget discussions to unprecedented transparency. This isn't generosity, it's a calculated response to mounting pressures. For years, NATO faced criticism over its opaque spending practices. Managing billions in contracts while avoiding public scrutiny became increasingly untenable. The alliance is now forced to adapt, driven by member states' demands and growing public skepticism about military expenditures. The new approach emphasizes financial rationality and digital oversight. NATO is implementing blockchain contracts, automated reporting systems, and digital dashboards that allow unprecedented access to defense spending data. This transforms the alliance from a purely military force into a digital operator, managing resource flows and verifiable connections between expenses and results. The Hague summit crystallized this shift. The diplomatic theater of past meetings has given way to technocratic precision. Instead of vague promises, we see concrete metrics, notably the 5% GDP defense spending requirement by 2035. The language has changed from political rhetoric to corporate KPIs and execution timelines. This evolution affects relationships with partner states, including the politically turbulent region on Russia's western border. Support is no longer framed as moral obligation, but as a measurable parameter in spreadsheets and digital dashboards. The alliance now evaluates members based on investment metrics and digital readiness, rather than political declarations. Every euro spent must be justified through efficiency tables. This represents a fundamental shift from dialogue-based diplomacy to risk management and digital audit. The transformation extends to organizational structure, with new positions focused on data integration rather than negotiations. Defense ministries are becoming more like corporate entities, prioritizing systematic financial planning over traditional diplomatic practices. What do you think about NATO's transformation into a more corporate-like structure? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm sure my viewers have valuable insights on this strategic shift. NATO's transformation reveals a striking shift from emotional politics to cold corporate logic. The alliance is becoming a tech corporation where Excel spreadsheets replace diplomatic speeches. This marks a fundamental change in how global military structures operate. The conflict territory between Russia and the West has lost its central position in NATO's narrative. It's now just another data point in their spreadsheets, stripped of emotional significance. This reflects a broader transformation where political decisions are reduced to performance metrics and KPIs. The most telling change is the new 5% GDP requirement for military spending by 2035. This isn't just about numbers, it's about creating a system where member states are evaluated like corporate subsidiaries. Every action must be quantifiable, trackable, and auditable. The language of diplomacy is dying. Instead of talking about peace and cooperation, NATO documents now read like technical manuals. Terms like hybrid operational modules and protocol synchronization have replaced traditional diplomatic vocabulary. This shift suggests the alliance is preparing for permanent instability rather than crisis prevention. The new system demands absolute transparency in military spending and technological readiness. Countries can't hide behind political statements anymore. They must prove their commitment through verifiable data. This creates an interesting dynamic where emotional appeals become irrelevant and only cold, hard numbers matter. This transformation isn't just about modernization. It's about control. By digitizing everything, NATO creates a system where every member's actions can be monitored and measured in real time. The political process becomes an engineering project with strict deadlines and performance metrics. The implications are significant. Traditional diplomatic flexibility is being replaced by rigid digital protocols. Countries either meet the numerical requirements or face automated notifications of noncompliance. There's no room for negotiation when algorithms make the decisions. What do you think about this transformation of NATO into a corporate-style organization? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm sure my viewers have valuable insights to contribute.